Well, thank you, Mr. Victor Doherty. The miracle is not walking on water. The miracle is walking mindfully upon the earth. How many of you are familiar with Thich Nhat Hanh? Hi! We haven't seen her in ages. Welcome back.
Darla?
Oh wow, that was a wonderful, wow. How many of you know have ever heard of Thich Nhat Hanh? Oh good, I wasn't sure if he was becoming old school. But I've been to 2 retreats with Thich Nhat Hanh. And Thich Nhat Hanh, meditation teachers or spiritual teachers kind of develop their own kind of, sacred teaching. And Thich Nhat Hanh is really big into mindfulness. And so mindfulness really is the path to peace. Because it's a present moment experience. And now for the intellectuals, like I used to be before I met Dawn, for the intellectuals, mindfulness is practicing with bare attention during every moment of existence to what's going on outside and inside of us. And bare attention is the absence of judgmentalism, commentary, and decision making. Judgmentalism, commentary, and decision making is what we all engage in, all of the time. And we're trapped in it because it's the very nature of this creation of the human form. When the Bible said that God made us from a lump of clay and breathed the breath of life into us, that is literally true. These human forms are made up of earth elements. These human forms are a carbon-based life form. In fact, the hydrogen atoms in us date back to the Big Bang. These hydrogen atoms were in the dinosaurs, and now they're in us. And in fact, these forms actually are stardust. We are stardust. Wow. Cool. What have you been smoking, Ben? Wow. But it is so true, because how many times this morning have we already used the word consciousness? Then start trying to define consciousness. And it's like, wow. Because everything is consciousness. And so the model that I use comes from the Advaita Vedanta tradition of Hinduism that goes back 3,000 or 4,000 years. And the model is that non-dual consciousness, where no thoughts occur, is the infinite realm that we could also call God. And then the manifestation from the infinite towards the finite is the movement from non-dual consciousness into causal consciousness. Now there's no energy here yet. It's God's infinite mind beginning to create. It's thoughts in God mind is the causal consciousness, and that can be called spirit. And then the veil is crossed, and this is where energy is manifested. The universe is energy. We are energy. We cross the veil and we come in to subtle consciousness. And that's where the karma from causal consciousness begins manifesting form. And in this form, we have dreams, we have the chakras, which are subtle energy. I've never seen a chakra, but I feel them. Some people see chakras. We all have different gifts and talents. But this subtle consciousness is where all possibilities lie. And then from subtle consciousness, the individual manifests. Each one of us is a manifestation of consciousness. And so there isn't any more higher truth than we can say than we are consciousness. And how do we begin to realize that? Prayer, meditation, mindfulness is an active meditation. But as soon as Suzanne told me, I don't get to hear the daily word this morning. It's a tradition for the last 25 years. So I ran over there and I got the book. The universe is synchronistic. It's not that you can experience synchronicity. It already is. We're simply waking up to it on this spiritual path. And the synchronicity of what Susan was sharing with us this morning in this nonviolence season, guess what the Daily Word has to say about it? Wholeness is my true nature. I am vibrant and strong. My true spiritual identity, the I am who I am, is the source and catalyst for my healing. As I turn to this inner presence to reaffirm my wholeness, I find that what I have been seeking is already present within me. So I relax into this place of love and light and rediscover everything I need for healing. Wholeness is my true nature. But your karma from causal consciousness has created these human forms, and these human forms are conditioned to believe in the thoughts and the judgments I make about myself and others, and is conditioned to make decisions. And it's called the egoic mind. It's the little mind. There's nothing bad or wrong with it. It is part of this amazing journey from birth to death, in which we get a chance to purify the karma. And as we purify the karma, we begin opening to higher levels of consciousness in which we start experiencing that. The Buddha, because remember, the Buddha was 500 years before Jesus. Yeah. So, they were brothers. So, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, they're all of the same school, because what were they teaching? Consciousness, praying to God, opening to God. The Buddha taught that when you purify the defilements, purify your karma, which is fear, greed, and hatred, and ignorance of who you are, when you purify that, what you will realize is your true nature. And it's called the Brahma Vihara, is translated as the heavenly abodes of love, compassion, joy, and peace. You can't do anything to manifest it, because the egoic mind that we're all operating with operates in concepts, beliefs. And all concepts and beliefs are, as the Course in Miracles would say, what is real cannot be threatened. What is unreal does not exist. Herein lies the peace of God. So, can your concepts and beliefs be threatened? Absolutely they can. What do you do when you feel attacked? You defend yourself. That's a belief system. All concepts and beliefs have to be defended, so therefore they're not real. We're living in a dream. What do religions do but develop a concept of God, create a dogmatic belief system, and then attack other religious gods as not being the right ones? So we have to defend our concept of God, therefore conflict arises. But if we purify the identification with this little self, this physical consciousness, the form still will do everything it needs to do to purify our karma on the journey towards death, but we start waking up to the vertical dimension that shows us who we truly are. Who are you really? We are not the labels we put on ourselves. We're not the names we call ourselves. As soon as you're born, you're given a name, and with that name you start accumulating experiences. that you put in the basket of Suzanne or Tim or John or Rochelle, and then you think that you grow up and you think that's who you are because it's an identification with form. But the truth is, we're so much more, so vastly more. And the Course in Miracles is about the practice of experiencing that in this horizontal dimension from birth to death. That journey is about understanding, hopefully, who you are, but it doesn't bring you freedom, your understanding. What brings your freedom is a knowingness or knowledge that never has to be defended. And so we don't get there through the egoic mind. It's not the ego, the understanding, the identification with self. It's waking up to the process of life, the mystery of this life, the magic and the miracles that we can experience in this form. And to do it really requires this kind of a mindfulness practice and looking inside, because Buddha and Jesus both taught about changing your perception. Shift your perception, which is about a shift in consciousness. And the shift in consciousness happens as an experience, never as a belief in your head. Never as a belief about right or wrong. That was my journey. Let's face it, if you grow up to be an attorney, you're really invested in right and wrong. My side is right, and your side is wrong. And I'll prove it to you. The trouble is, I used to bring that home. And that doesn't make for a very happy home life. So, my greatest teacher about letting go of right versus wrong has been my beloved wife, Dawn. Because she is tenacious about it. You think you're right? I've never had so much fun learning that I was neither right nor wrong. It's really been wonderful. And as you all, she's got her books here, Victor has his CDs, read one of her books. Wow. She is an amazing teacher about mindfulness. And remember, mindfulness is paying bare attention to everything that's going on outside and inside during every moment of existence. It's the practice of presence, being present, awareness, stillness that cannot be disturbed, aliveness and presence. I call those the four freedoms. And you can find those in your life, but not through your head you can't. Because if I could have found those, I would have found them a long time ago. I wouldn't have had to been on a 28-year spiritual journey. That's how hard-headed I am. So it's like it's a spiritual practice, and it's a present moment experience, and it gets down to be so subtle that because of our perception, then we project on the people, places, and things that we think are doing something to us. And if you start looking inside, you will discover, like Eckhart Tolle teaches is, we're drawing to us every experience we need for our soul's evolution. So every person, place, and thing you have created in consciousness, it's a part of consciousness. And it's all there for your awakening. So I've asked Dawn to share one of her little essays, one of her short essays, to give us an example of what a present moment experience is like. So Dawn will come up. I assume she needs to turn on the microphone. So I will keep talking till she figures out how to turn on that microphone. It's a present moment experience. Will you hurry up and turn on that microphone? Oh my goodness, that was violent. Oh, an example of that's kind of the way I've lived my life, in violence and judgmentalism towards myself and others. Because I'm killing time here till the microphone gets on.
We're on, honey. The tech guy came and saved the day. Peace is every step on the path to nonviolence. Mahatma Gandhi said to lose patience is to lose the battle. This is titled Life in the Fast Lane. I dropped into the grocery store for an emergency sweet potato pie. I rushed past self-checkout lanes 12 and 13, even though no one stood in line. If I were into doing things myself, I would have baked that sweet potato pie. Only one shopper occupied lane 14, but darn, her groceries mounted a foot high on the conveyor belt, and her cart was still full. A young man in sweats leaned against an empty cart. 3 bags of charcoal were on the conveyor belt, about to advance toward the register. I sidled up behind him and set my pie a polite distance from his charcoal. And then I passed the time looking at the magazine covers. Now let's see which celebrities were battling billion-dollar divorces. Plenty of divorces on the magazine covers, but nobody I knew. How is it I didn't recognize the stars anymore? Where was Oprah? What happened to Julia Roberts? Why wasn't my line moving? My eyebrow arched ever so slightly as I analyzed the situation. A tiny little lady in a headscarf was bending over the counter in front of Mr. Charcoal. She and the teenage clerk huddled over a piece of paper. A reward card application, maybe? He had probably promised her it would only take a minute. Right, my minute. All pinched up into tension at this point, I needed a break from myself and from my violent, impatient thoughts. The melodrama that myself was producing. I twisted my expression into a smile. It was insincere, but it counted. The young man's hair hid his face and muffled his voice, but his tone was kind. His hands moved gently as he offered a pen to the grandmother. Her gnarled fingers hesitated, and he held the paper steady for her. My fake smile turned genuine. My hurry drained away. And for a minute, I was living in peace, right where I was standing. Thank you.
And Dawn has some free CDs right here reading a few of her essays, if you enjoyed that. And if you really want to enjoy her essays, she's got a couple of books over here.
My publisher told me to hold up my book. This is my publisher.
And now our meditation is going to be using some of the tools available to you from the internet. So if you search a season for nonviolence, you'll be led to the Global New Thought Alliance website. They've got an amazing amount of material about a season for nonviolence. And one of the practical assists they have is that they have a daily mandala that has 64 words around it. And so every day of the 64 days, you can go there and you'll find what the word is. They give you a quotation, an affirmation, and then a practice to do. And you can do it very briefly, but they have a different one for each of the 64 days. Because like on January 30th, yesterday, it was courage. And so it has courage. Today is smiling. Tomorrow's appreciation. Then caring, believing, simplicity, education, healing, dreaming. So it's really a practical way to every day just go on the internet, do a season for nonviolence, or go to Global New Thought Alliance, and you can scroll down and find each one of the days that we're on and do it as a practical matter. So, well, I'm going to make this as a part of our meditation. And so first off, the word for courage, the practice for courage is, the quotation is, courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. And the practice is, light a candle to symbolize your commitment to accept the courage to practice 64 ways of living nonviolently. So now I invite you to close your eyes. And as we close our eyes, be conscious of breathing in and breathe down into the belly. Feel that belly breath. It's very slowly so you don't hyperventilate, but breathing down into the belly. And then when you breathe out, be sure you breathe out all of the air. We tend to, in our hectic world, we tend to breathe shallowly. We only breathe in a little bit of air. We only breathe out a little bit of air. So you want to breathe deeply into the belly and breathe all that air out. And listen to the affirmation in a feeling, spacious mind. Just letting the thoughts go to just move with the belly breath into the affirmation. Today, I have the courage to live in accordance with my values. Today, I have the courage to live in accordance with my values. And see if you can feel that as a vibration in your body. You can even take this belly breath meditation and you can go deeper with it. As you breathe into the belly, let the breath keep flowing down your body through your legs and feet into Mother Earth. Because the human form is made up of earth elements and it needs to be grounded to the earth. Grounded to the earth, because the body is going to return to the earth. It's going to return to the clay that God made into you and breathed the breath of life into you. And so breathe the first part of this affirmation all the way down into the earth, feeling and sensing the vibration that today I have the courage to live in accordance with my values. Today, I speak from the heart, letting the thoughts of the mind become light like clouds, and just watching the clouds pass through my mind and seeing that blue sky that's always there, even when we're troubled and the storm clouds arise and we can't see the sky. We know the sky is there. That's a feeling, sensing. And so rather than listening to our thoughts, we listen to our hearts. So today I have the courage to live in accordance with my values, to speak from the heart, to treat people with compassion and kindness. That's a heart-centered practice, not a thought-centered practice. All thoughts separate us from each other. Our thoughts even separate us from God. That's where our suffering comes from. We've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten the connection to God, to the divine. We can be fully human and fully divine with courage, with mindfulness. And breathing through the belly, down through your feet, grounding yourself to the earth, letting the wisdom of your body come through letting the thoughts in the head pass through like clouds in the sky. Today, I have the courage to live in accordance with my values. Feel the resonance of that. To speak from the heart. To treat people with compassion and kindness. To nonviolently take a stand. Stand for what is just. Take a stand for what is just. Because I do it for myself. And the ripple effect is it ripples out and touches other people's lives. Breathing consciously. Going beyond your human body and just sitting in the silence of awareness. Stillness, aliveness and presence. Breathing. And now coming from consciousness back into the density of the body, following the breath back into the body, feeling the density and heaviness of the body if you were able to breathe into consciousness, the lightness, the peace and calm. That's our true home. That's where home is. This body is just a temporary vehicle that we use to purify our karma. And so we come back into this space and time with these words. At the core of my being is the eternal truth that wholeness is my natural state. I am one with unlimited spiritual life and power. When I tap into that divine essence, I feel energized and revitalized. My path of healing is an inner unfolding and a satisfying journey into the truth of who I am, not who I think I am. Wholeness is my true nature. I am vibrant and strong. And this ends our meditation. Take a deep breath into the belly. As you breathe out, be present with this community in the here and now and opening your eyes. And look around and see the face of God all around you.